To General Cross and Chief Smith, to our industry partners out here, first, this has been a magnificent symposium, absolutely spectacular. You've made it what it needs to be for our airmen. So a huge round of applause for the leadership of ATA and all of our commercial partners. Afghanistan plussed up, Iraq drawdown, Haiti earthquake, worth the oil spill in our nation, Chile earthquake, Manas coup, Pakistan floods, and I didn't even know we had a volcano in Iceland. All in 6 months, as General McNabb talked about. Oh, and by the way, while you were doing that, you went to 150 nations around the globe. Unbelievable. And if I asked you to raise your hand and said, how many touched Afghanistan and Iraq? How many touched Haiti? Hands would go up. I want to talk about, because the chief talked about our Air Force. General McNabb gave you the facts. I want to talk about, I think, what makes this all work right here. You. Your story. Who are we, though? We are 135,000 active Guard and Reserve and civilians, all powered by our contractors, by industry. We are part of a great ballet of airmen, and we do global vigilance, global reach, and global power. And the chief talked about that. What I want to focus on is that global reach part. Global reach, the ability to reach out anywhere in the world in 18 hours. Under General McNabb, we partner with our sister services, the Navy with MSC, the Army with SDDC, and with our planes and trains and trucks, we can put a force anywhere in the world and sustain it like no other nation. No one compares. But when we have to get something there quickly, when we have to get something to an area that may not have a seaport or may not have a road network, it comes to us because we do rapid global mobility. And nobody does it better. What do we do it with? Well, the first thing we're going to do is, no matter what we have to do, what do you say? Yes, we can. Yes, we can, because you use airlift, air refueling, aeromedical evacuation. I call it simply delivering hope, fueling the fight, and saving lives. And what's so special, because across the spectrum, from humanitarian crisis to combat ops, everything you do is not about us. We will never be the supported commander. We will always be supporting. We will never be the subject of the sentence. Somebody else's. Think about that. It is not about us. So every night I can go to sleep with my heart feeling very warm because we are serving others. And let's talk a little bit about what that means. January 12th, a call comes in. We're watching the devastation in Haiti. We put a call out to all of you. That night, 13,000 airmen, active Guard and Reserve, instead of saying good night to their families, they said goodbye. Because we needed you come to the base to start generating, because we didn't even know what we were going to have to do, but we knew we were going to do something. And over the night, you readied airplanes. You started loading. You started processing. Because by the morning, we had the call from General McNabb says, you're on. Unified Response was the name of this operation, and what a perfect name. Because across the globe, nations wanted to help Haiti. That morning, we launched the first out of the chute, because ultimately 1,000 people went down, but the first out of the chute was our CRG, Contingency Response Group. They joined in Haiti with Air Force Special Operations Command, Special Tactics Squadron that were there. And what did they see? Devastation. 1.5 million people without homes. Hundreds of thousands of people needing food and water. Seaport, as General McNabb talked about, not usable. Roads, bridges knocked out. So it came to us to start delivering. And what do we first do? What do you do? Put the air bridge in. Start bringing search and rescue teams in. Food and water. And with our porters and our ravens and everybody that was there, we had to open that airport. That single runway, single ramp could handle 10 to 20 aircraft a day. That wasn't going to cut it. So in the course of a very quick period of time, it went from 10 to 20 aircraft a day to 140. Does it make a difference? Yes, because you are delivering hope. And back at Scott, the TACC, the Nerve Center, partnered with 1st Air Force out of Florida and 12th Air Force in Arizona, all working for General Spears, who was our lead airman, all working for the Southcom commander, General Frazier, to make this grand ballet work. Everybody's got to hit their mark. And while we're bringing the food and water down there, General Frazier got concerned about security, and he called forward the 82nd Airborne. Now, 10 to 15 years ago, we had a ready brigade, ready to deploy anywhere at a moment's notice, trained and certified. Over the course of the decade, we lost that capability. So from a very cold start, the 82nd got the call. Pope became alive. The green lamp was buzzing because we're moving C-17s and C-130s in there as the 82nd began marshaling and getting into those aircraft. In 24 hours, you delivered the first echelon. Within 5 days and 120 missions, you delivered 2,200 soldiers, 800 pieces of equipment. Now, at the same time, General Frazier realized that he wasn't able to get the food and water out to those that needed it. You came up with a solution. You call it airdrop. But because we're working with the State Department diplomacy, they called it aerial delivery. We like that word. So the same 82nd Airborne that we were deploying, we turned to them because it was their master riggers that overnight prepared some 700 bundles of food and water and delivered them to our waiting loadmasters. And we got the word to do it, armed with the latest intelligence. We took off and went and used soccer fields, farmer fields, to deliver hope. Food and water. One pass in a C-17 can feed 4,000 people for 24 hours, or 2 C-130s. And we did this. On the same token, we had to be very careful because if one of these CDS bundles hurt somebody, it would have negated everything we were trying to do because Chavez was down south saying Americans are trying to invade Haiti. Think about the headlines if Americans had killed a little boy with a simple CDS bundle, and you were so very careful. As we were beginning to open up that airfield, slots were a problem because everybody was trying to get in. Sometimes slots would get bogged down. We couldn't get an airplane in. So you said, hey, let's put a tanker overhead. Oh, we can do this. And that tanker offloaded 1 million pounds of fuel over Haiti to awaiting C-17s. Why? Because the slots weren't there. So by air refueling, the C-17 was overhead. The minute the slot opened up, it popped in and delivered. Search and rescue, food and water. Only you can do that. And the third part, our aeromedical evacuation, well, you'd expect that they'd be transporting people back to the states who needed care. Some 290 people. But they were off the airplane. They were in the airfield, basically helping stabilize people who were in need. Oh, and by the way, we transported 27,000 people back to the States. Now we'd say, hey, we're bringing them home to America. But you know what? Some hadn't even lived in America. Though they were U.S. citizens and had passports for being abroad, this was a trip to a foreign land. If you think about what had just happened, they lost their home, they lost family members. They were there with flip-flops, with bruises, with cuts, and shorts, going on to some big gray airplane, going to a land that they may call home, they may not. Think about being scared. We were also moving orphans who had been approved for adoption back to awaiting parents. And what did you do? You reached out with a hand and you hugged them, compassion. The folks at MacDill actually put candy and toys on some of the airplanes just to help ease the pain in this transit, because it was a pretty scary mission. You did that. Across our Air Force, across our mobility world, everybody said, "Coach, put me in." PACAF. Aircraft from Hawaii and Alaska. Alta shut down the schoolhouse. A brand new TFI unit in Niagara of Guard and Reserve said, "Coach, put me in. We want to be part of that team." Our porters, our communicators, our force support, our comptrollers, the supply folks, maintainers, everybody came together to deliver hope and save lives. No one else can do that. You did it from the heart. Now, while we're doing that, as General McNabb talked about, there was no rest in Afghanistan, because as we're putting 30,000 soldiers and Marines into Afghanistan, where are we putting them? We're putting them on the border of Afghanistan. We're putting them out on the fringe near Pakistan. Why? To live among these villagers, to help them understand that they can have a future if they can thwart off internal and external insurgents. So we're there to spend a long period of time to develop trust with them. And what does that mean? The ability to get supplies into Afghanistan, the road system, no train system, it can take hours to transit a couple miles in Afghanistan if the weather's good. And the risk to our soldiers and Marines is huge. So they became more reliant on airdrop. As we heard earlier, 2 million pounds in 2005, growing to 57 to 60 million pounds this year. What does that number mean? Context. A good load, 25 to 30,000 pounds on a pass of an airdrop. So how many missions to put 57 to 60 million pounds of supplies, food, water, ammunition, fuel, to sustain those troops where they're deployed?